Marks Creek fire roared to life on the Ochoco National Forest about 20 miles northeast of Prineville around Labor Day. It forced the evacuation of nearby homes, ranches, and campgrounds. It burned to the edge of Highway 26 and prompted a furious response of ground and aerial firefighting resources.
It was an air show here, right? We had a variety of large and very large air tankers, and they were dropping retardant. And then we had scooper planes that were down in Ochoco Reservoir. Flight of 2, they'd come up and target spots. And then we had helicopters that were dipping out of some of the small ponds and reservoirs and even Ochoco Reservoir.
By the time it was contained and all evacuation notices were lifted, the fire had scorched more than 1,700 acres of forest. But the area immediately around the fire remained closed for suppression repair.
So this was a dozer that came up here to establish a control line to try and help contain the fire when it was at its worst.
Yes.
And you come back and do what here? You've come back and loosened it up.
So this excavator here is going through and they're decompacting the soil to help water infiltration. So whether it's rainfall or snowpack, and what that also does, that decompaction is allowing for the native vegetation to grow back easier. They're also pulling the berms back that were made from the bulldozer that came through to make the control line. And then any of the trees, shrubs, slash material, the organic material that's on the surface, they're pulling that back onto the rehabilitated dozer line.
Some fires create situations that require special efforts to prevent problems after the fire. Loss of vegetation exposes soil to erosion. Runoff may increase and cause flooding. Sediments may move downstream and damage homes or fill reservoirs and put community water supplies at risk.
We're trying to restore proper functioning of water flow off here, and we're trying to disguise these dozer lines so they don't become the next trail, motorized trail, right? Because many of these dozer lines are nowhere near, they're actually connecting the road network. And so we'd like to minimize the amount of motorized vehicle traffic to just what's on our authorized motor vehicle use map.
The goals of the Burned Area Emergency Response Program, also known as BEAR, include guarding the safety of forest visitors and employees, protecting federal, state, and private property, water quality, and critical natural and cultural resources from further damage after the fire is out.
In some of these steeper slopes, they'll dig in water bars that help divert the water flowing off of a slope. And instead of having a long run of water that then could gain force and erode soil, you have these shorter runs of water that are then diverted off onto the slope with the native vegetation.
The information collected by the Forest Service BEAR teams is shared with federal, state, and local emergency response agencies so they can provide assistance to communities and private landowners who may also be affected by potential post-fire damage.
We use these maps for not only fighting the fire, but also during suppression repair. This is my checklist. So I'll go through and I will go look at a line like we just did and inspect it. And then once that's complete, I can go to that particular line, edit, mark complete, and put any particular notes in there. Line is complete, come through and reseed in the fall.
So for folks thinking about recreating in recently burned areas, there are safety hazards that they should be aware of. A big concern is hazard trees. So as you can see behind me, we have a lot of fire-weakened trees, and even if they look stable, they can potentially fall, and that causes a huge safety concern. Another thing to be aware of is loose soil, falling rocks, flooding after rain, and even ash pits, which can be hot, well, even months after a fire has been contained.
As Yogi Berra said about baseball, it ain't over until it's over. Putting out a fire is only part of the process. Restoring the burned landscape so that water doesn't race off and flood surrounding areas is pretty important too. From the Ochoco National Forest, I'm Brooks Snavely for The Great Outdoors.